We wanted to ask that for a platform that advocates for limited government and personal freedoms, how do you justify the imposition of Christian values and beliefs onto a secular nation that was founded on the separation of church and state?
Well, I guess I don't see a lot of imposition of Christian values. I wish we had a lot more. The country was founded on Christian values.
You wish that we had laws?
I'm sorry?
You wish that our country had laws based on Christianity that would...
All of our laws are based on Christianity. All of them.
And do you think that's a good thing?
Well, it's the essential thing. It's why we're America. All of our laws are based on Christianity. Not sectarian Christianity, not Protestant Christianity, Catholic Christianity, Orthodox Christianity.
It's a secular country with...
It's not actually a secular country. Have you looked at the dollar bill? No, it's not a secular country. Our founding documents have God all over them. In fact, that's the point of our founding documents. I don't know if you've read them. You should.
Do you not believe in the separation of church and state?
Once again, and this is why I do worry about college, because the thought process does seem less rigorous than it ought to be. I'm not arguing against separation of church and state.
It seems like you are. It seems like you want Christian laws on a Christian...
All of our laws are Christian laws. All of them. All of them. There's not one law in this country, in our criminal code, that's not based on a Christian understanding of justice. Let me explain what that is. And I think you'll be glad that you live in a country based on the Christian precept of justice. And here's the difference between East and West, Christian and non-Christian. And Christianity is the only religion that believes that each individual will be judged alone by God. We do not do in Christianity, or in the United States, which is based on the Christian understanding of justice, group punishment, period. You can't punish someone's children for the sins of his parents. We don't punish entire populations. We don't kill civilians because we have a Christian understanding of what justice is. We do not do group punishment, period. Every other country on earth outside of Western Europe and the Anglosphere does. You are all through Asia, all through the Middle East. In Russia, traditionally, if the parent does something wrong, the entire family is punished. But not in the United States. Period. Why? Because Christianity, only Christianity, doesn't believe that. It doesn't believe in blood guilt. And I don't know any other religion that rejects blood guilt with the vehemence that Christianity does. So yes, our laws are based on Christianity. You don't have to believe in Jesus to live here. I don't think you should have to believe in Jesus to live here, if that's what you're worried about. I don't think that. I would never advocate for that. But the Christian understanding of what justice is the thing that makes America a country worth living in. Get rid of that, and it's a hellscape. It's Rwanda. It's the Middle East. It's Asia. You don't want that.
How can you say that you believe in the separation of church and state if you're advocating for a people that is not homogeneously Christian to be following Christian laws?
I guess what I said was our understanding of justice, which is reflected and I hope remains reflected in our legal code, derives from the Christian understanding of justice, which is far superior to any other religion's perception, understanding of justice. And that's one of the reasons that people who are not Christian move here, because they agree that collective punishment is immoral. It's totally immoral. It's why what's happening in Gaza is disgusting. It's why what's happening around the world is disgusting, because a whole group is identified as guilty, and Christians do not believe that is possible. Groups can't be guilty. They can't be saved collectively. Every person stands alone before God and is judged on his behavior and his belief, period. And our legal code reflects that. So you can't fire the kids of someone who gets arrested for something, okay? You don't have to be Christian to think that's a good thing. That's what human rights are. What do you think human rights come from? Christianity. Why was slavery abolished? Christianity. Why?
Slavery was perpetuated by people making arguments from the Bible.
Well, for sure. Lots of bad things have been perpetuated by people making arguments from the Bible. But in the end, it was eliminated because Great Britain eliminated it on Christian grounds. And Great Britain, not any other country. And lots of other countries were deeply involved in the slave trade, as you know. But one Anglo, English-speaking Christian country with a head of state who was also the head of the church. It didn't have separation of church and state. Great Britain eliminated slavery on Christian grounds, and those grounds were really simple. Each person is created by God, and his rights are inalienable because they're delivered not by the state, but by God. And that is reflected in our Bill of Rights. And you don't want to live in a country that doesn't have that. And you guys are so brainwashed.
Church and state. What is that then?
Separation of church and state is a concept that I strongly support. And it means that unlike traditional Western countries, every country in Europe, for example, the church is not part of the state. So the head of state in all European countries, Scandinavia, all the way east, the head of the country was also the head of the church. And the church got government funding, tax dollars went to the church, the schools are run by the church. This is true in my ancestors' native countries, Sweden and Great Britain. It was true in every European country. And the people who founded this country, who were 100% Protestant Europeans, 100%, they grew up under that, and they're like, we're not going to do that. In this country, you have the freedom to worship any God you want. And that was unique at the time. It is still unique, actually. Germany banned Scientology. I'm not a Scientologist, obviously, but I don't think you should ban a religion. I don't think a government's allowed to do that. And in my country, the government can't do that because that right to worship any God you want is enshrined in our Constitution because the people who wrote it were Christians. Duh. Go, I'm not, look, obviously you're against, I mean, we probably agree on a lot, actually. I don't think the government should be funding churches. It totally corrupts the churches. And by the way, I know from watching really closely that when preachers get too close to politicians, they become corrupt. It's disgusting. It's an offense against God. I don't like it. I don't spend any time with those people. I actually deeply dislike them. And by the way, for the record, Jesus disliked people like that too. He spent the entire New Testament yelling at them. So I don't want just speaking for myself as a Christian, I don't want my leaders of my specific church sucking up to politicians or taking their cues from any temporal authority, period, ever. So I'm totally for separation of church and state. But you can't separate out the Christian understanding of justice from the creation, or the Christian understanding of the rights of man, of people, human rights we call them now. Where do those come from? They don't come from Shintoism, they come from Christianity alone. And I'm sorry nobody told you that.
If we have this country that is so diverse religiously.
Yep, we do.
How do you justify to those people who are not Christian when you're trying to back policy based on, using the Bible as justification or using Christianity as a justification for things that are moral, for things that are not the same that everyone believes in?
Well, you've got a broader problem here, and I will take your question seriously because I think it's a serious question. You have a problem in any country where there's no working majority of people who share something in common. And we have that now because of immigration. And if there's anything that will destroy the country, it's that. You need to have a shared sense of something. It can't just be, we love the gays, that's enough. It's not enough. That's not enough, whether you love the gays or not. That's not like a reason for a country to hold together.
You think the reason should be that the majority of the country will be Christian in your ideal America?
I can tell what classes you attend here in college. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. A lot of soft liberal arts classes I can tell, but I would say, no, I'm not saying that. I don't think there should ever be a religious test for office, for example. But I think if we can't agree as a nation that collective punishment is immoral, whether we believe in Jesus or not, whether we're Christians or not, if we can't agree on that, and that really is the difference between the United States and the rest of the world. People believe in collective punishment. They're like, your family, your tribe, your race, they're all guilty. And we reject that out of hand because this country was founded by Christians who understood the world in Christian terms. And if we can't agree that that's a good thing, then we're going to have a civil war. And I know what side I'm going to be on. I'm going to be on the side that opposes collective punishment. That is so immoral. Are you for collective punishment?
I'm not for collective punishment.
Okay.
I'm just against people using religion to defend their political views, when religion should not be a part of the political process.
Okay, well, I kind of agree. I don't think that's a crazy thing to say. I think maybe we're talking past each other. If someone comes out and is a secular leader of your state and says everyone has to believe what I believe, I'm totally opposed to that. Even if I agree with the sentiment, even if it's like a Protestant Christian like I am.
I think that's a lot of what's happening in this country with people using religion to justify their stance against abortion, against LGBTQ rights, against trans rights. People are using religion.
May I just suggest something? No, of course I'm very familiar with your argument, but I've never seen religious fanaticism like I see among the abortion enthusiasts. I mean, from my perspective, it's so obviously a child sacrifice right. There's no point at all. There's no, the number of unintended pregnancies in an age of universally available free birth control is probably pretty low. And they happen, okay, but the enthusiasm, the wicked, gleeful enthusiasm that people have for...
Enthusiastic.
Oh, shout your abortion? I think there's some enthusiasm, yeah. Putting an abortion truck outside the Democratic Convention, there's a lot of enthusiasm for it. And to make that the one thing you'll never bend on, because I kind of believe the my body, my choice thing. I really thought that's what it was about, bodily autonomy, and then...
That's what it's about.
Really? So where were you on the COVID vax? Right? It's not about that. It's not about that. And what it's about is killing. It's about killing and the thrill that people derive from killing another human being and the power they feel when they kill. And that's what people love.
That's a real argument that you're making.
No, it's not an argument. It's a reality. It's a reality. I've seen it. And I've seen it when people plan wars. I've actually seen that happen. And I've seen it when people in power show videos of them killing people with drones or whatever, and they get so high from it. There's no greater thrill than extinguishing life because that makes you God. And I think that's the most evil thing there is, and one of the greatest temptations that people have is to kill because it makes them feel powerful. And we are so disconnected from the basic realities of the world. We're so socialized that we don't see that the elements are never changing. Killing makes people feel powerful. Killing your own child makes you feel like I'm in charge.
I would argue that is why we invest so heavily in our military in this country.
I agree. I totally agree with that. I completely agree with that. I think $1 trillion is I'm what is that? Okay. How many wars have we won in the last 80 years? I'm waiting. I'm thinking around 0. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you. But abortion is murder, obviously, and everyone knows that. And people are so into it because it's the same ritual that every civilization ever been studied has engaged in, which is human sacrifice. Obviously, why did the Incas, and it wasn't just the Incas, it was my ancestors, the Vikings, all of them killed people in order to appease the gods and give themselves more power.
Abortion isn't ritualistic.
Are you joking? They had an abortion truck outside the Democratic Convention. While you're here, maybe you could get an abortion. No, it's the most crazed level of fanaticism I've ever seen. When I was a kid, they would say, well, there's probably some 12-year-old farm worker child who got raped and she's pregnant. Would you say to her she has to carry the baby? And I'd be like, oh, that's so sad. I can't, It makes me really sad. And I don't think she should have an abortion, but I get it. Now it's just no, abortion is the only right you have. It's all you have. You don't have the right to keep you from jabbing a needle in your arm with some unknown poison made by Pfizer. You don't have that right. You don't have the right to say what you really think. The only right you have is to murder your own kids? That's dark, dude. Listen to yourself. That's the saddest thing that could ever happen. Killing your children? The only thing in life, and I'm telling you this as a young person, with the greatest sincerity, I mean this as a father of 4, the only thing that matters is not your stupid job at Citibank. Trust me, it doesn't matter. All that matters is having children, and your children are all that will matter to you. I don't care what you say. I've lived it. I know that's true. And so anyone who's oh, just kill your children. You know, I feel like a lot of the problems, I'm sorry, Brookie, to upset you. Sorry. It's my dog. I don't yell at home. But no, I think it's just grotesque. It's shocking that this happens. And everyone's like, sorry. There's nothing more entitled than a female Springer Spaniel, sorry. Anyway, it's the saddest thing, and to hear people like, I know a million people have had abortions. I don't know one who's happy about it, you know, and they're really sad about it, and it's awful.
Because it's not something that people take joy in, it's something that people do out of necessity.
No,
I think you're out of touch if you think it's a ritualistic thing.
Of course it's a ritual. How many abortions are there in this country every year?
And it's a matter of human rights, as you said, and it's a matter...
There's no human right to kill people, dude. Sorry. In fact, killing people is the enemy of human rights. The human right is to live.
Not a person.
It's not a person. Okay, it's not a person. But everybody knows it is. It's just so dumb. It's not a person. It's like they won't. Why don't we show a video of an abortion? And let's see if you can sit through it. And you would feel sick to your stomach. You have. Oh, okay, maybe you liked it.
I grew up in a church that thought it would be...
No, I don't. I'm sorry I said that. No, I'm sorry. No one wants to talk about the details, ever. And the most horrific things in life, including a lot that happens in war, including transgender surgeries, definitely including abortion, it's all couched in abstract ideological terms which are designed to prevent you from facing what's actually happening. A human being is being beheaded with a knife inside a woman. And that, if that beheading didn't take place, that would be a person, a human being, who maybe would go on to lead some screwed up life, maybe wouldn't, but it's not up to us. We don't get to kill people simply because they're in the way, period. And if you can kill children who are in the way, you can kill the elderly who are in the way, and in the end, they'll be killing us who are in the way. You can't do that.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe to it. And by the way, you can hit the little bell on there and get notifications every time we produce a video. We hope you'll do that also.